Welcome to Culture FC, the weekly soccer show that has nothing to do with soccer. We cover lifestyle, music, culture, all the things surrounding the beautiful game, just none of the stuff happening on the pitch. I'm Louie.
I'm Alan.
I'm Brendan.
He's here.
I'm here.
Episode 2, and we finally have him here.
Let's get it, guys.
He's not sick. He's not dead. It's good. We're good.
I'm well.
He's well.
Ready to go. All right. Starting off today, Pulisic is the main topic. Kind of rolling off of the
Real
World
quick.
Cup.
How do you pronounce his name? Is it Pulisic or Pulisic?
I say Pulisic.
I used to say Pulisic. And I watched a video online that he did with Vice, and they said Pulisic
Pulisic.
versus Pulisic.
Well, it's Croatian, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're gonna just say both interchangeable. If
Yeah.
hey Christian Pulisic, if you're out there watching this video, reach out to us and let us know how to say your name.
Yeah.
And we'll gladly fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably the best one.
So yeah, get in touch with us. Let us know how to say your name. We'll be happy.
So he wrote an article in the Players Tribune, kind of reflecting on the World Cup and his thoughts on the U.S. system for soccer, and there are a bunch of good bits of stuff in there that I think are important for us to cover and kind of go with what we were talking about last week with regards to the soccer culture and growing up in soccer here in the U.S.
Well, what sparked the article, which I thought was good, is, well, clearly the fact that the U.S. didn't qualify for the World Cup. And so, basically, this was his reaction piece that he wrote, like a month or 3 weeks after they got knocked out. And it's essentially just like his, unfiltered thoughts on, where the U.S. soccer is in terms of, the world powers and how people are developing talent in the U.S. And basically, one of the coolest bits that I got from it, I have a quote here from it, is the path to the U.S. winning a World Cup, it doesn't start with having more talent. It starts with developing the talent that we already have in the right way. And so he mentions a lot about how a lot of people just kind of say that we don't have enough talent or that we don't, have the best players, but that's not true. I do think that it just is a matter of how are these kids being developed in the U.S., There's plenty of issues surrounding the U.S. soccer pyramid as a whole, but a lot of it is just it's probably inconsistent coaching across the board. And just, I think that he's right. You probably just have to put more. Basically, the way I compare it to it is so if you study what Germany did after losing, I think 2002 to Brazil, they essentially revamped their entire soccer system in Germany. So they went down to the base level though. They took and they hired the best youth coaches. They created the best academies. You can find this online. They literally went through and from the ground up they built their soccer program to the point now where they won a World Cup last year or 4 years ago, last World Cup.
Yeah.
And their players are considered some of the best in the world. You know what I mean? You have Bayern won how many titles in the past few years, and with majority German players, and they did a whole revamp and focused on the youth part of it, which I thought was super interesting.
Soccer's just so big over there too.
Yeah, that's another thing that I got from his article is just as big as he thinks soccer is getting, it's still not a major part of the culture here. He was saying the Landon Donovan goal back in the 2012 World Cup, where 2014, where his whole basement exploded and everyone was up, and he felt like something had changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had a similar feeling for the U.S. The U.S. is big, but we get caught up in the moment, and then you realize that post that, it's really not that big of a deal comparatively to everywhere else in the world. We still don't follow the U.S. national team or the U.S. players as religiously as other places do.
No.
Which I think is still a big
fair weather fan.
Yeah, it's still very very big tournament-y. The U.S. men's national team gets a little more coverage than the women's, but still,
which is baffling, by the way.
It's still the issue of we really only support them when it's a tournament time or that's when they get all the coverage.
And when you think about it from the mainstream, people really only cover it during the World Cup, not even any of the other tournaments they participate in.
Right, it's really just the World Cup.
Also, what I'm wondering is that I think that comes down to really just other people being invested in other sports.
Oh, 100%.
which is it's that interesting thing where it's you have baseball, you have some kind of U.S. major sport always on TV. You always have something else to watch other than soccer. But it's very weird to me though, and it's really interesting that he made the point of how back at the 2014 World Cup, he felt like the U.S. was finally there. People started to really care, and it's really cool because I was thinking back to the day that we went and watched we went down. So Alan and I went to Boston City Hall and we watched. It was USA versus Germany. It was the qualifying game for the World Cup. All they had to do was
They
tie.
had him on the big screen.
Oh, you watched that final game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there in Boston, and there was a pretty decent crowd.
So I think the Revs in the city of Boston came together and was like, all right, we're gonna set up this massive screen right in front of City Hall,
That's pretty cool.
and they had, I kid you not, City Hall was packed. It was probably like, I don't know, 20, 30,000 people, something like that.
Yeah, it was
I don't know how many people
Yeah, I
fit there,
know.
but it was packed, and
Yeah,
people
it's
were
good.
watching the U.S. versus Germany game as if like, and I felt at that moment that I was like, wow, soccer really is starting to make strides in the U.S. And especially here, where it's like in Boston, where we have the best other sports teams.
Yeah.
You have the Celtics, the Bruins, the Patriots. Like you have all these teams that are constantly winning titles or doing things like that. And to literally just be, and it was a work day. It was like a middle of the week.
Yeah.
Yet downtown City Hall, Boston was packed with people watching the USA Germany game.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Unfortunately for soccer, but like as a country, I mean it's great. You can't really complain. Still has too many riches when it comes to sports. Like we can watch a different sport every single day of the year, whereas other countries really like Premier League ends. You're done watching anything for the summer or whatever it might
and
be.
if you do, it's not to the level that you would religiously
you're splitting
follow.
the interest. But if you look at how big the U.S. is, honestly, there should be enough interest in the sport.
Always.
One thing that I take away from him, where he says I have a quote here, like the ages 16 through 18 are like enormous for developing a soccer player, right? If you're looking at that worldwide, players 16 to 18 are competing at like club level, super high, competitive. Here, these guys are playing, if you're not playing for like a Revs Academy, a Chicago Fire Academy, you're playing just a high school or a club team, still high level, but then what are you worried about? You're more worried about getting into college because that's your biggest thing, right? Getting to college, that's the next level here. Where everywhere else in the world, the next level is professional, right? So that competition level immediately is a bar higher than what the competition level here is in the U.S. because the gap is so much bigger, right? So if you're going to compete in college, that's not competing professionally.
Right.
If you were fighting for a spot to compete professionally, your level would have to increase because that's the next step, and that's the only solution you have, right? So I think that's huge because, again, the riches of the United States, we have that opportunity to go to college and go to universities, get an education. But in terms of
Soccer
world competition,
development.
you're 2 years behind, but it's actually exponentially larger because that is such a prime time for you to
Yeah.
learn. That's the peak.
It's
interest.
essentially the last step.
Right.
It's essentially what would be the last step before professional. Which, in other words, is the area where you should be developing the best part about your game to make it to be a professional. But the rest of the world. Well, Christian Pulisic, he's lucky. Or not lucky. He's not. I don't want to call him lucky. He works his ass off. But like, he was able to. He didn't go to college. He
Right.
went to the Dortmund Academy at 16, and from then on, now he's 19 years old, starting
Right.
for Dortmund, megging Arjen Robben, which is awesome. And so, for him, he was able to really develop like that. But you have so many other players that they're getting kind of stuck at that whole college thing. Like, it's kind of weird because of the amount of people that we know and like you can see have played soccer in the U.S. There's so many people, and in a country this big, you should be able to develop talent just on numbers alone.
True.
But something has to be wrong where you're not developing the best talent. He's probably right. It's probably an institutional thing, But again, I mean, never really coached or anything at that level, so I don't really know too much. But just on a surface level, looking at it, like there has to be something wrong at an institutional level.
I like your points, but I'd like to talk about what are your thoughts on whether or not he should be writing this as a 19-year-old. Like, he's 19 years old, he's playing against some of the best people out there. Why does he have the right to just write whatever he feels? And
So so that plays in with what my next point is. Christian Pulisic is a great player. He's a phenomenal player. But he is not Neymar level. He's not Hazard level. He's not one of these world's greatest levels. But because he's playing for a country that the level is so low, he's considered this wonder kid, star, which even says he's not one of those players.
Yeah.
You go to Germany, you go to anywhere else in the world, there are a million other Pulisic's. Like, he's not something that's extraordinary right now. And that's not to knock his game, because I've seen him play, and he's
Oh yeah, no,
he's,
I'm not
he's
knocking
great.
his game.
But because he is so young, and he's this step above what the U.S. currently has, he's considered something amazing, and because of that, he has to take the pressure, right? He's the guy that all of a sudden, if the U.S. don't make the World Cup, it's his fault, and then he has to write this article, right?
So my question is, if Landon Donovan, or not even Landon Donovan, because he doesn't play anymore, but let's pretend, if Clint Dempsey wrote this article, would that change your perception on it? All-time leading goal scorer for U.S., captain, or not captain anymore, but like one of their best players. Like, how would you feel? Or if Michael Bradley wrote it?
I feel like if Dempsey wrote, that'd be one thing. Bradley, I don't know. I don't really ever really. I
don't think he's.
I thought he was like something, and then he
Well,
was.
I mentioned him because he's the captain.
Yeah, no,
so,
I know, but I just. His whole story, like, he had the same kind of thing going on with him a couple of years ago.
Well,
I
true,
remember,
he
like,
was in Germany, and he was.
Michael Bradley's gonna be the fucking star of the shit. Like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But then, this. I mean, I think if Dempsey wrote it, that'd be one thing, because he's getting older and he's
had the experience.
He's had the
Okay.
experience.
I can see
like,
that. Where it'd be more of a missing out kind of thing. Whereas
Exactly.
Christian Pulisic, he's
Like
19,
like,
buddy, you still got, ideally in you another 3 World
And I
Cups.
agree with that, because, like, imagine Neymar had played for Brazil and they hadn't made the World Cup at some point when he was 19. I wouldn't blame Neymar, right, in that squad of players that existed. I wouldn't have put it on Neymar when he was 19 years old. I wouldn't have put it on Ronaldinho when he was 19 years old. So why does Pulisic have to carry the load and have to take this stance against?
Well, I wonder if it's like the LeBron mentality where it's like, I'm the best player on the team, everything comes down to me. If it's wrong, it's my fault. If it's good, it's everyone else. Like, I wonder if it's that.
Yeah, because, like, I didn't see much of any outlets saying, like, yo, it's all Pulisic's
Right,
fault.
and I don't,
Like-
right, and so I wonder why he's, like, I do think it's a bit weird for him to be writing this. I think he's doing it more from the sense because he was one of the players who didn't really have a reaction. He wanted to step back, and which might be good for the U.S.
True.
He's trying to take responsibility. Even
I
though
think-
he is so young, he is trying to take responsibility.
So I actually think that the end result of this article, despite the fact that maybe, to your point, should he or shouldn't he have written it, I don't know. But I think that the outcome of the article is great because it's putting if you think about his platform, rising star, probably the second most, I don't know, one of the current most talked about soccer players in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
He has the ability to go on on a platform like Players Tribune, which has so many thousands of readers,
Yeah.
and he's able to highlight the fact that. I think the biggest point was the
he
U.S.
just came out
should
of the
have.
system, so he's probably the best person to be speaking about the issues.
I think that to
Yes.
highlight the points and the issues that U.S. soccer is going through,
Yeah.
he's probably one of the best people to do it because the amount of ears and eyes that'll be on it
That's true.
Yeah,
will be a lot
I
better
will say
than.
he wasn't actually. I think for a lot of the article, he wasn't even focusing that much on the World Cup. Like that was just
That was just the intro.
That was
Yeah,
the
the
theme.
majority
And
It was
the
the theme
legs.
throughout, but he was more talking about some of the issues that are within the system of the U.S., which I like because he's noticing because he did get to spend 16 years playing under the system here, and then
And
he played
going
2
to-
years abroad, and it has this perspective on that. Sorry, excuse me. I think that's important because he's the star. He's going to be the biggest player there.
He's the future. Whether or not he ruins it the way that Michael Bradley and Freddie Adu did, like who knows?
Freddie Adu, dude. I remember that cat. He was cool.
the next Pele.
The next
Yeah.
Pele, man. They
That
debuted that at
commercial.
14, and by 18 he wasn't playing anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Freddie
had a
Adu.
commercial with Pele, right?
Oh, nice.
He did like a Coke commercial or something with Pele, and it was like he was the next Pele.
That's great.
He was overhyped. Yeah, but I mean, I hope that something does come of it. I think that was.
I think
Sierra Mist, dude.
Was it
Freddie
serious?
Adu versus. Oh man. Oh, they both reached for the Sierra Mist. Adu versus Pele.
This is a legit thing that happened?
Yeah.
Oh no. And what was he at this age? Like
He
17?
was young, dude. I remember he was being linked with like Manchester United. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Freddie Adu beat Pele for Sierra Mist. Sick.
But I think that I hope they take it and do.
That's something to put in the memory bank.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I filmed the
that
commercial
enough.
Pele.
That enough is big.
That's a watch.
Is that his career highlight?
Yeah,
Filming it.
100%.
Probably.
So Freddie
That's the
Adu's
great- that's the biggest thing
best
he's
things
ever
ever done was film. I can see it.
Does he still play right now?
He was playing in Brazil the last time I saw on like a third division team in Brazil. I don't know.
That guy's journey is crazy.
My favorite thing about him was just following where he was playing. It'd be like the randomest like teams, and it was
Well, did
always
he get
getting
hurt?
progressively.
Or no, he just.
I don't know. I don't think that's even enough of an excuse. His list of teams is longer than like anything I could possibly think of. It could probably it'd probably fill up a whole page if you were to one per line the amount of teams this man's played for, or trialed for, or done whatever for. But last time I saw, he was playing in Brazil.
American soccer player currently playing out of contract. Plays primarily as an attacking midfielder. Let's see. Who's he playing for now?
If you scroll down, it'll be on the right. Last time he played was the Tampa Bay Rowdies in Nassau.
Wow.
2015, 2016.
He played for a team called Khufu 98. I don't know what that is.
He went on loan.
He played for Bahia though, so I guess
Yeah, I
it's not a
remember
small
he played
team.
for Bahia.
Oh,
Bahia.
I think it's Greek, right? Right here, is that Greek?
I don't know.
What flag? Finland.
Finland. He played in Finland. So he played for
Kinda
Khufu.
So one thing that I thought was actually kind of important, and it wasn't really highlighted that much, the part where he says he gets criticized for not being American enough or not being really in love with the American team because he played abroad, and then he goes on to say that that's the wrong mentality to be thinking of. And that we should be kind of accepting people of all kinds.
Well,
I think that that's super important because one country that did that and succeeded was Germany. If you look at the German national team right now, yes, a lot of them are German, but Mesut Ozil,
Turkey,
Khedira,
born in Turkey. Khedira was born in.
I think it's like 90. Like, it's like half of their team wasn't even born in Germany.
He posed the question. He's like, well, if we start going down this path of what it means to be American, like that's a rough one. Like you don't want to go down that. Like,
right, but my point is that I'm sure there are so many players that came into the U.S. from other countries where soccer is the main sport, it is their main passion, did not get the opportunity to play at this level.
What is the requirement to be?
You just have to be a citizen. That's it.
That's it.
So I'm not saying, so that obviously gets into a bunch of legal issues, but my thing is these players become German players because the clubs are smart enough to go scout them at a young age, bring them over, and be like, okay, now you're here, you can be after you've lived here for a certain amount of time, you're a German citizen, they're amazing players, Germany picks them up.
Well, so my question is,
why
like,
isn't the U.S. doing something like that?
well, they are. They did it a lot with Well, think about it like this. My point is Jermaine Jones. Jermaine Jones. If you listen to him in an interview, he has very broken English.
Yeah,
he was born to an American dad in Germany at the Air Force base, naval base, something like that. So he literally spent his father was American, but he grew up in Germany. He speaks fluent German. He played in Germany majority of his career, and then he started playing for the U.S. team because that's for whatever reason. But you can't knock the guy for being. You can't call him un-American. You know what I mean?
Right. I think that the U.S. should be looking at more options for that, and even just for the MLS, you bring in talent from other countries where you have these amazing players that might not have an opportunity in their country or whatever it might be. It not only raises the bar for the MLS, it raises the bar for youth in general in the United States. People might say, "Oh, but that's taking away the opportunity of our American-born kid." But if that's what it takes to bring up the level and make American children better at soccer at that level, so be it. That's what you have to take.
It has to come back to like the American principle of capitalism. You just have to be better.
Yeah,
work harder.
Survival of the fittest. That's what my thing is. That's so amazing for when you're looking at some of these topics in the U.S. It's like, survival of the fittest as long as it benefits us.
Right. It's like capitalism with a caveat.
Yeah. It's survival of the fittest within a group.
Apparently, and it's so funny that seems to be like what it is for soccer, versus like you have other sports, right? In football, you see this all the time. It's been documented very, very heavily where people come from very low income backgrounds, very, very like troubled backgrounds, yet they still make the NFL. They still make the NBA. They whatever the NBA and the NFL did, where they were able to get into the youth level at that level, like they were able to bring people up, and so we have so many NBA players who came from, you know, not the best backgrounds who now
well,
are.
the thing that's amazing about soccer is that now for you to play on a club team, if you're not getting a scholarship, it's like $3,000, $4,000 to play.
Which is
Yeah.
a little absurd because
It's ridiculous, right?
I don't think you see that in basketball.
No.
What do you
Right, like that's the thing. The recruiting process. The only other sport that I think compares to it is hockey. Men's like hockey.
True.
In the U.S. is very expensive.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of equipment that all of that is whatever. But like football, they get scouted out of high school. Basketball out of high school, they play AAU. But I think AAU isn't that expensive.
It probably
compared
isn't
to-
that
A
expensive.
couple props was expensive.
Yeah.
Mine was like $1,500 back
Right.
in the day.
But if we're looking at the demographics of who plays hockey and who plays
Yeah.
lacrosse,
The
the
majority of
the-
kids play soccer.
right, the majority of well, even the kids that play soccer, like there is a very large lower income group that may not be able to get scouted because they can't afford to play on the team, they can't afford to travel, they can't afford to do all that stuff. So that impacts it as well because then you're only getting the higher income kids, which they may be amazing at soccer, but that cuts your
Availability.
demographic
Yeah.
in half or a quarter,
Which
are-
is
because
sad,
if-
because-
if teams aren't recruiting in high school games, like in when I was in high school, no coach would come watch high school. They'd only come to my club games or like even mention high school. They wouldn't even if you weren't
Yeah.
playing club, you were irrelevant. You weren't even getting looked at.
Which
So-
is like,
That's true.
it's just really highlighting that point of there just seems to be no consistency in that.
right.
And it's sad, really, because soccer's supposed to be like the great equalizer, right? Where everybody can play.
Right.
You don't have to buy equipment. You need to play soccer? Some round spherical thing,
Yeah.
and maybe draw goals. And so think of how many, I know so many kids growing up that just played in the streets. Like I played in the streets, getting my ball caught under cars and stuff like that.
Right.
And like that's where a lot of like the best Brazilian soccer players, they came from playing in the streets. Like
Right.
you don't need much in the end. And that's what I always loved about soccer. It was a matter of like anybody can play it.
Right.
You don't have to be the most physically built athlete. You don't have to be LeBron James.
Right.
Like look at Juan Mata. The guy is 5'5", and in all honesty, if you were to play any other sport, they'd be like, nah, you can't, you don't cut it.
Yeah.
But Juan Mata, 5'5",
Yeah.
phenomenal player.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
I think what would help, which I'm not sure about now the numbers, but at least when we were in high school, not every club team had a youth academy. So
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
so
to me.
now I think that it's probably different. I'm sure every team has a youth academy, but if there were going to be one thing that's an equalizer, similar to how it is in Europe, every team has a youth academy, and that's how they're getting these best players. That would be the one way, because then the clubs can afford to pay for everyone, whatever. There's no issue there. But if every club, it should be mandatory, honestly, to have a youth academy, because that's how you're going to be picking out the best players, getting the strongest teams, getting the strongest youth kids in your area to play for you, and that would just help, I think, the U.S. in general. But I don't know.
So last point I want to make on this article, and we can probably move on to the next one, is this was super cool. Christian Pulisic goes and says, soccer is just a way of life in other countries. It's part of the fabric of who they are, of what they do. There's a sense of identity that I think is baked into global soccer that touches everyone and connects everyone together. And I thought it was super cool that he says that because that's always how we felt about soccer, I think, and that's kind of what we always thought about it. And it's just funny that there is a disconnect in the US between soccer culture and like mainstream culture and all of that versus everywhere else. It's just a way of life. It's not like you're just going to watch your soccer team during the World Cup or during, the Prem. It's like that's just what you do. You talk about soccer, you go to pubs and watch soccer, you go to games, it's just what it is. And that's not I'm not saying that you have to stop doing other things because of it, but I think it just needs to bridge that gap, right? I think that just kind of touches on the
I
other
think
points
that
he's made.
that plays in with like the MLS here is growing and soccer is growing here, but still really if you look at like every team has like a fan zone, right? And like for the Revs, the fan zone is really the only packed area, and I'm sure those people are the ones that know the most about the Revs. The rest of the fans there, I'd say a large majority are casual fans, right? They're going because tickets are cheap. They're going because tickets are always available, and I'm sure
They're probably involved with some youth level,
and I'm sure
they're-
that's the same throughout so many teams in the MLS. Whereas like Orlando City,
they have pride.
Atlanta United.
They have
it's
pride
like
for their
it's
team.
like 5 teams in the country that have this like where every single person in the stand is a fan, which is how it is in Europe. Like they have the singing stands everywhere, but like everyone in the fan can tell you every single thing about that team, old, new, young, no matter who they are. Here it's not the same.
Right.
Here it's like those fan zones for a lot of the teams are the those are your really
Yeah.
true fans. The rest are casual guys that are coming. Which I don't know if there has to be some effort from the club side to try to. I don't know what the solution for that is.
Yeah, I
but-
think each team just needs to. It's how they develop it, right? So it depends. I mean, I think that's a big point to it too. Is until. But that's a good point. How do you cultivate the fans, right? I mean, clearly Atlanta did a great job, and I guess you just have to follow that blueprint. It'd be nice to see our local team, the Revs, do things like that because, I mean, to be honest, that game we went to back in May was pitiful. There were,
It was wet.
barely. I mean, whatever. It was raining, but it doesn't change,
Changed my experience for sure.
But exactly. But then again, I don't think that's too different from a regular game if it
No.
weren't raining. And the
Yeah.
lower bowl was maybe.
I mean, you look
half
at you look
full.
at any picture or any game you watch on TV,
Shucks.
it's like
Missing.
empty. It's not.
And we
it's-
got yelled at for trying to be fans.
right for being loud.
The
Which
people,
is like-
the people behind us were upset that we were being fans, which I thought was crazy.
Again, it's like
Because the Revs are a
you're-
family friendly
right. It's like a
event.
thing. It's like it's you're there to just have an entertaining thing to do on a Friday night.
But that's not sports.
It's
Sport, no.
What's the point of that?
Oh, let me just leisurely sit here in the stands and just
quietly
enjoy my nice little beer and what? No,
Right.
soccer's supposed to be felt. It's supposed to be an emotion. Why am I not allowed to yell?
Right.
Yo,
so,
but I will say, the last Revs game I went to, there were these little shits behind me, dude. They were talking so much trash and just like calling, like the dad too was like a dad coach and like was like calling, like talking to his kids, like, oh, you guys see that sweet move? Like, oh, these Reds suck. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, just please. Like, I was gonna go complain. Just
Yeah.
'cause
well,
that
I
is
think that the issue with that is like they stand out because not everyone else is doing it, right? If everyone, it's like in a movie theater. If someone was talking,
Yeah.
you're gonna go yell at them because that's not the norm.
Yeah.
If the norm was for everyone to be yelling and like you wouldn't even hear them if you were there with a crowd and whatever it is. So I think that there's still that like. Let's go watch a soccer game today. Buy the tickets,
Yeah.
same day.
dad coaches and shit, and like, oh, bring all
bring
my
the kids
son
in.
and their friends,
Yeah,
and we'll
so-
go tailgate before the game.
I think
And
that
with
there,
tailgate, we'll just have some waters and hot dogs. We'll
yeah.
be great.
So I think that something has to be done.
We'll bring the
I'm
quick
not.
nets.
I'm not the guy. Yeah, I'm not the guy to know what needs to be done to fix it. I think that.
I just think the only advice I could give is follow the blueprint by Atlanta, Orlando, Portland, Seattle. Because it's not like it's not being done. It's not like it's an anomaly. It's
Right.
not like it's one club. It is several clubs.
Right.
Now, within the same league that are doing it.
Right.
You can't use the excuse, oh, but Gillette's too big. Look at Atlanta.
Yeah.
That they're filling up Mercedes-Benz Arena like
Right.
up to 80,
Right.
whatever it was, 73,000 people.
Right.
All right. I think we need to move on to the next topic just because we could go all day about that.
Yeah.
Topic number 2. This isn't exactly news, I guess, but it's relatively considered news over the past year, I'd say. Weirdly enough, I mentioned him earlier, but Juan Mata started a charity called the Common Goal Organization. Essentially, what he's trying to do is find several other professional soccer players to commit to giving away 1% of their salary to charity. And so it's a really cool idea because a lot of people say and complain about how soccer players make so much money. Like they have wages close to like 300,000 euros a week. Like that's 7 days and the guy's making 300,000 euros. Like it's a little absurd. 1% of that is going to help a charity immensely. So
Right.
he's actually been able to get quite a long list
Yeah, they
of
have. I mean, some of the big names they have, both male and female. Matt Hummels, Giorgio Chiellini. They have Meg Rapinoe, Alex Morgan. So they have some big names joining them.
Well, what I find interesting about Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe is that so I know Alex Morgan makes a lot of money from Nike for her endorsements, but the NWSL contracts, like, they're not very big.
Yeah.
Um,
and he has it's like 8 or 9 female players
Right.
that have contributed, which is awesome.
Which is great. And so it's like, it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm super rich, I can contribute. It's just a matter of like coming together to do some good, right? Like, especially Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe, they're not probably, I'm sure Alex Morgan's making plenty of money, she's, great. But it's just like, if they're able to contribute even more, like that's the whole point. It's not like a dollar amount, it's a 1% amount.
There's media claims that Alex Morgan back in 2015 through her salary of her French club pays her $450,000, I guess. But I also just read that she was getting reports of like 33,000. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. But then her various media outlets that claim she made $3 million through sponsorships.
Well, no, but and that's understandable.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
that's 1% of that is good. But
Right, and so I think it's super cool that, like, you know, he came out and has been trying to get all these people on board to just really do some good in the world, because I think that it's great. I just think it's awesome. I think that it answers that whole question of, like, 1% isn't going to kill you. You know what I mean? If he can get some of the guys, like, I mean, he's got Matt Hummels, who's not making a small amount of money.
No, I mean, if you look at how much money just is in the sport now, abroad anyways, some of these contracts, like, guys are arguing over, like, $50,000 €50,000 extra a week, right? You can donate 1% of that.
Right.
The immense, like, I think the overall goal for them is to get 1% of all revenue that's going into world football to be donated, which, like, if you think about how much
If they
money
did that, oh my God.
Lukaku was bought for what, 80 million? Like, you get 1% of the stuff that's going into that.
Neymar's making €450,000
helps so
a
many
week.
charities, and it's good
week.
that it's not just one specific charity. It's spread out.
Yeah,
So,
and
so the overall contribution is would be amazing if they can get more players. And honestly, it's amazing that they don't have more.
Right.
I feel like it's such a great thing. Like, any player in that, I'm a strong believer that, like, you're not always in the position to donate stuff. Like, you may not be financially able to donate money, but when you are in a position to donate money, that you 100% should.
True.
And these guys are the pinnacle of that. Like, they are in the position to do it. I know Cristiano Ronaldo does a ton of charity work.
Right.
He donates so much money.
especially to where he came from, like Madeira.
Yeah.
He's doing so much for that island in Portugal. It's
Yeah, he put
it's
them on.
awesome.
He put them on the map. Like, it's amazing.
Did
what
they
he
name
does.
the airport after him?
They named the airport. They gave him a statue, I think.
At the airport, that looks
the
great.
one
Yeah,
that's,
It looks nothing like him.
Yeah, but he's done amazing things for Portugal. Like, I've talked to some Portuguese friends that I have, and they love the guy because obviously he's an amazing athlete, but just because of how much he's done for Portugal and shown the Portuguese people that they can do for their home countries. Because that island is very poor.
It is. It used to be it is still a very poor island, I think, from what I've
he's
read.
making it.
And he's doing as much as humanly possible to.
So I'm a strong believer that this is an amazing thing. I hope that they can get more players. I think what will help them, although these players, Hummels and Chiellini, are big players, they're not like the star.
top.
They get a striker. They get someone
Well,
that's
if they get, you know, if Cristiano Ronaldo decides, like, yes, I'm going to donate 1% to this specific charity versus the other ones, all of a sudden they're gonna blow up.
yeah.
And I think that they're doing great. I think that it's something that hasn't been going on for too long,
Yeah,
and it's just like
pretty recent. I think it's within the last year.
Well, what I think is super cool is the young guy. What's the super young dude who decided, like,
Narby.
Serge Gnabry?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, you're a young dude, you've worked your whole life to play soccer. The thing you're probably thinking is, I'm gonna go buy a big ass house, a big ass car, 3 Mercedes, and the nicest shoes ever. And this dude goes, wait, hold on a second. I'm gonna take 1% of my salary at 19,
And that's the
18.
thing. Like, they can do it.
They can do it.
Once 1%, honestly,
Exactly.
they probably get that back in taxes.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
Tax
Hey,
deductions,
there you
come
go.
on. Like, even if they're looking at it from that point of view, like, you'll get something out in return of it. Just do
Right.
it. It helps everyone.
True. Makes you a better person.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely think that's cool though. But
Yeah.
all right, moving on.
Adidas, new ball.
The World Cup ball.
With we talked about the jerseys, everything being released. They officially released the Adidas Telstar, which is a play on the 1970 ball that was used for the Mexico World Cup.
Because that was the first one that Adidas had, right? Like that was
Was
the
it?
first one that I think that was the first one Adidas ever made.
Oh, so that's cool.
And so they were like, you know what? Like it's super cool that we're talking about this because we were talking about Heritage last episode about how Adidas came back and was like, you know what? We're gonna take these old retro jerseys and make them cool again by adding a modern spin. And that's exactly what they carried through on with the World Cup ball.
Yeah, they added the NFC chip to the ball.
Yep. So you'll be able to like track it during matches and like as a fan, like on your phone, you'll be able to track the ball in the stadium
Yeah,
during
cool.
matches to like
Super
see.
interactive.
Yep.
I mean, it's everything you'd expect from new technology for soccer, and
But even from an aesthetic point of view, the ball's
yeah,
sick.
I love it.
Very
It-
cool.
I think that that's what a World Cup ball should look like. While I actually liked the ball that they used at the Brazil World Cup, I think that it could have been a little bit more classic. I think they could have toned down the style just a little bit. The like weird squiggly
I think
things.
they were going for that the Jabulani vibe, where like that ball was a hit, right?
Yeah.
So when that came out, like everybody,
at the
except
start.
for the players, like
Yeah.
the goalkeepers.
Well, the
hated it.
Jabulani did look good, I will say.
It did. Well, it was a different, like it wasn't the hexagonal
Right.
pattern, and
True.
it was something totally different to,
Yeah.
to soccer balls. So I think that they were going for some type of like colorful, unique vibe for that. But
Yeah.
you're right. I didn't really like it that much. This new ball looks super clean.
I love it. Black and white on a soccer ball just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
It just seems to flow.
With the pixelated too, the
Yeah.
homage to the
Yep.
TVs is very cool.
Oh, it was because it was an homage to TVs?
Yeah, it was like, I think because it was on television, so.
Oh, that's so cool. Because was that like one of the... That's so
Might have
cool.
been one of the first like really
Watched?
1970.
Would have been
I'm
the
not
most
sure.
watched for a while. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
the name of the original Telstar came from its status as the star of television. The first ball to be decorated with black panels. The pattern was designed to stand out on black and white TVs and change football design forever.
Nice. Well, that
So
makes
the black
sense.
and white would show up on the TV, so then the little pixelated shows
Yeah,
back to the black
okay.
and white TV.
That's awesome.
That's
That's a
awesome.
lot of creativity put into that, which is cool.
Well, what I love the most about soccer is the heritage aspect. It's the fact that it's the world's oldest organized sport and that there's so much heritage, so much history on it that I think that them to tap in, and we talked about it last week too, but literally just like their ability to tap into this and really pay homage to all of this history going into next year's World Cup, I think is super awesome.
Yeah, I liked their the launch party they had. They had some pretty big names: Kaká, Zidane, Podolski,
Pusha T.
So Pusha T was there he was the main performer, which is awesome because he has a collaboration with Adidas, right? I think he might have like a Samba or something.
He has some EQT one. Like,
Oh, right.
I think, I forget.
Yeah, so them using him, like I saw a lot of pictures of him being like the guy, like they had a big shoot with him with the ball, with the Germany top. So
Well, I just think it's cool because Pusha T, okay, maybe he's not the biggest artist today, but he's super big American, like, hip-hop artist. Like, that's what he is. But for Adidas to be like, you know what, we're going to ingrain that aspect of it with our World Cup launch
Right.
party to really try to ingrain the culture in, I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
I think that they did everything right. They brought in the different World Cup winners, like you said, and then they had one for each of the past 5 years, or past 5 tournaments, and then Messi, they had him come out, which I get it's their biggest athlete, but, you
they
know.
had the Argentina jersey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He got to fool around with the ball before anybody else did too. It's
Yeah.
definitely a little
Obviously,
weird.
he
It's
gets,
like,
he gets to see it.
Maybe I'm just biased because I'm Brazilian, but
I don't know, dude.
I don't think Messi should be the first one to touch a soccer ball. That's just what I'm saying. I think other people should get the chance first.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like who else would they
I don't know.
they were
That's true because Nike has both Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar,
Yeah.
and the
They don't
only
have- yeah, they don't have
and well, Adidas has Pogba and Messi. But if you're gonna think there's a tier, there's one tier, right? You have Messi, Neymar, Ronaldo up here, and then way below maybe you have Pogba and the other stars. So it's like you really only have one choice.
Yeah, they're obviously going to give him. I love that they had old World Cup winners so that they did like actual little games during the thing. Kaká, Zidane, Podolski.
Because they have didn't they do like 5-a-side stuff too? Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah. So
Oh,
that's what I'm
okay.
saying. So they had them, and they had one more. I can't remember who it was.
It was Kaká, Zidane.
Oh, Alonso, Xabi Alonso. He was
Oh,
there, all for the unveiling of this, and that's just dope. You just have these like super classy guys, like
And they are, and the 5 that they picked are pretty up there
Yeah.
for like classy dudes.
yeah,
I don't think you can get classier than Kaká and Zidane.
Yeah.
So
it's cool that Zidane's still like very active and actually like playing.
it's not like he's not doing anything. The dude's
Yeah.
coaching. He has a full-time job. He's
I've
like
seen him. I've seen videos of him in practice for Real Madrid, and he's like better than
Well-
like the stuff. Like it was. I saw this video of him, and it was like Zidane like flicks in practice, and he was the one laying off balls for the forwards to score. Incredible balls. Like balls are coming at him, like pinging them at him, and he would just be like shoulder flick over, and then like guys just running onto it perfectly. Like, dude's class. Amazing.
the dude is. I'm sure he could still play if he
Yeah.
wanted to.
Oh my gosh, he's an amazing. He's probably one of my favorite players too. He's incredible.
I'll never forget the World Cup though, with when he headbutted the dude. I remember watching that live. I was a young kid, but I was just like,
Yeah, I was in Canada for that, and like
I was in
Canada has a
Brazil.
huge French and Italian population, Toronto specifically, and like that happened, and I was in my cousin's apartment building just like erupts, like everyone watching this, like everyone screaming, like and I was just like, what the heck? Like
That's
so
crazy.
like distraught, not seeing like how big of a game that actually was. But yeah, it's so fun. It's so crazy that was like his last like game.
Literally. And then super
Such
funny.
a calm guy. Like,
Such a calm dude. And what's funny? He was out of contract for like 6 months prior to that whole tournament. Yeah, he still showed up and played like class.
Yeah.
And like the dude was out of contract for 6 months prior to that World Cup.
well, I
Shows
remember
up.
that where when they played Brazil, he destroyed Ronaldo. He the flick over him, like just like
Yeah,
nasty, dude.
that was not a fun game.
No, I was so pissed, but whatever.
Do we think that the ball is gonna get like?
Oh, you want to get back to the topic on hand? I'm sorry. I thought we were.
Do you think that the ball is gonna get the color treatment of like past World Cups, like where like the team's colors are gonna be like the Telstar, or do you think they're only gonna come out with
That
just
one
the
color.
black and white?
I'm
Oh,
sure.
I'm sure they're gonna play variations on it. They want to sell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one right there. That one's red.
Let me see.
And so.
The Telstar 18. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So I think that I'm sure they're gonna come up with variations and stuff. It's just that this one's gonna be used in the finals.
I wonder what the feedback is going to be from the players.
Well, so they said
That's
that
always
it's a very technologically advanced ball too. So it's not like it's just pretty. It's it took all the things they learned from the Jabulani and the Brazuca, and they really just try to make it into a really really good ball. Yeah, and I would be curious to see what the player reaction is. And they're only
'cause
going to
always,
really
like they always bring new technology in.
Yeah.
I don't remember any controversy like the Jabulani was crazy.
Jabulani
I
was
remember seeing like
bananas.
segments like.
well
15 minutes.
goalkeepers were pissed.
Yeah, because they were just.
Dude, it's like that goal Giovanni Van Bronckhorst scored from outside the box,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
keeper was just like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Dude hits a bomb, and it's just like so far out, and it's like top corner, and you're like, was that supposed to do
These
that?
things
You don't
They were
know.
just floating into the net.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but yeah, we'll see. I think that I like it when the balls are.
I thought it was so. Back to the whole thing. I like the black and white. I thought it's gonna look really, really, really sharp on TV, and it'll be good.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see what this like statistics like. I wasn't super like impressed with like the NFC stuff. Like
No.
I'm not sure
I think
what
it's too
kind of
gimmicky.
value
I
that
don't-
brings. Like
Especially because you can buy replica balls with the NFC chip, but it's like it's not like the Adidas Smart Ball that would show you how hard you're kicking or how many shots you take. It's just like
I'm not a big believer. Like I don't like even the NBA jerseys that Nike released with the technology in the jersey that you can scan with your phone and like see a bunch of stuff. You guys see
Why?
that?
No,
The
I didn't
new-
see that.
The new NBA jerseys that Nike has, like they have like technology built into them. You can like see all the stats on your phone too. Like, I
Dude,
think
is
it's
that
cool, but
necessary?
it brings you so much. It's like the stats like idea behind sports.
is it
It's
because like people are like what I find funny is like people in America are like obsessed with stats. No matter what the stat is,
Yeah.
you'll be watching an NBA game and it'll be like LeBron James has never lost a game that on a Tuesday when it's been raining and he wears a headband and you're like, why is that relevant to
Yeah.
anything? It's just
Yeah.
that people love
and
stats.
that's creeping into soccer
For sure.
pretty heavily.
I really hope it doesn't though.
I know it's
But-
like a team will have a bad game, and it's like okay, but this is the first time that they've conceded on a Wednesday night in Yugoslavia. Like who cares, dude? Like
They lost.
they
the
lost
the ball
game.
went into the net for some reason.
Like it doesn't.
It wasn't the environment.
Yeah,
It was the
so
players on the pitch.
I'm not like the NFC is cool, like from a general idea, but
Yeah.
like practicality, I think it's stupid. No one's really gonna care. I don't think like
No.
during a game, I'm not gonna be checking up on.
Oh yeah, let me go sit in the stadium and instead of watching the game, I'll just watch it on my phone.
How many miles has this ball traveled?
Yeah.
Like I don't care, man.
In the
It's just not
meantime,
interesting.
Germany scores 3, and you're like, oh, great.
Yeah, they're distracting from the things that matter. But whatever.
Moving on, taking it back to America. America.
Still technology though.
Still technology, which is actually a good segment. Good segue.
Yeah.
Segue. Really cool thing opening up in Brooklyn called Soccer Roof. It is essentially it's going to be 10 five-a-side sized fields with it's going to be a complex on top of a roof in Brooklyn. So 10 pitches, 5-a-side, a bar, a lounge area, some other cool little areas. And what makes this different than every other rooftop thing or rooftop soccer place is that the main idea behind this is like video game tracking in real life for players on an amateur level. So essentially, every player is going to be wearing a chip in their boot,
Yeah, I think
And
it's
there's
boots,
a-
and the ball has
and the ball has a chip. And so they'll be able, back to the whole NFC thing, which is really cool, the NFC chip, is that they'll be able, each player will be able to track his stats like they do in FIFA. Like, what's their shot accuracy, how fast they're running, what their dribbling is. All of those things are going to be read, tracked,
yeah.
measured.
They can just check on their like iPhone apps, which is going to be cool, like cell phone applications. I think that's awesome. I think that brings that's the part of the technology that I think is so cool for like a regular person.
Right.
You can check your stats. You can see what your how fast you were. What was your fastest sprint? Like how many shots you had.
Well, because what they say is, you know, you can only like grow what you measure. So
Right.
this is measuring all of those things. You know what's better when you are playing, right? And so I think the biggest draw of it is going to be for amateurs. If you're just like, you want to, okay, maybe you just want to play 5-a-side, but you're really competitive at it. Hell, our 5-a-side games on Tuesday nights, we get into fights pretty much every week. So it's like, we know we're competitive. We know we want to play, and we want to win. So it's like, really cool. And they're saying that it's going to like divide you up into what they want to do eventually is like create leagues and levels where you can get promoted and relegated based on your results with your team. And then that people will be able to track all of this through the app the way that you would if you had like a season of FIFA where you'd be able to like, I want to trade for this player or trade for that player. And you're literally, it's going to basically be a legitimate like rooftop FIFA equivalent.
Right. Well, that's cool because that's technology that's actually making people want to play the game more.
Right.
Right. So which I find super valuable and super interactive. Like if you're there, you're like all week, you're just checking up on your stats. Like this next week, I got to do better at this. That's super, 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 super cool. I think that people are gonna love it. Honestly.
Oh, I think it'll be packed every single day of the week.
They've been getting a lot of interest from investors. Like the investor list that they have, big wigs, a lot of big guys. So there's belief there. Anthony Martial.
Yeah, Anthony Martial
is an investor.
Yo, did you guys check their Kickstarter?
No.
They have a Kickstarter,
Oh,
and this just in, Soccer Rooftop, a new generation of soccer complex, parentheses, canceled.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Funding canceled. This project was canceled by the project creator on October 12th. Let's see. Soccer.
Well, I wonder if it's because when was this article written? November 13th. So I wonder if
no, so wait a second. So they
maybe
must have just canceled the
Kickstarter because
they
they
probably-
like, yo,
well,
we're
'cause
gonna
they got
have
they probably got
big
the
So
investors.
back to what Alan was saying, you have players like Anthony Martial, and there's also these other dudes like
they had
there was a guy, Gerard Houllier, who did the Red Bull.
yeah.
He was one of the big guys at the Red Bull, New York Red Bull, and he's invested in it. So they must have just canceled the Kickstarter because they were like, why would we wait for money from other people if we have private investment?
When was yours article?
November 13th.
So literally
Through
2
what?
days ago.
The one you sent. Yeah, that was November 13th. And they so Houllier, they have this other guy, Jerome Miri, who he was like a recruiter. He brought Drogba, he brought what's his face? Jovinko. He brought a bunch of these big name players over to the MLS.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of belief in that this will be
Major?
something big.
Oh yeah.
And I think Brooklyn's an amazing place for it because now it's getting so gentrified and it's such a great place culturally that there's a lot of...
And just think about New York, man. New York City has how many people moving there? You know, so it's like...
I think people are going to be flocking to this establishment. Like, they're going to be making so much money. They're going to be getting so much interest. They're probably going to run out of space, like time slots to be able to like, accommodate.
Well, and the other thing I read too is that the 10 pitches can be reconfigured to be like a full game too. So it's like they have the ability to not only have these leagues for 5-a-side, but to then be able to be like, no, we want to do full 11v11 on a specific day or whatever it is. But you'll be able to legitimately play in a league where they're going to track all your stats and do all of those things.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably like you said, the coolest integration of technology, soccer, and like just it'll be super cool.
And it normalizes it too. The one of the things the president of it was joking around. It was like, we could even set something up where like the worst player on the team of the day has to pay for the beer tab at the bar. So it's like it's making it super professional, but also just normalizing it for the everyday guy. Like you're coming out of work, go play your game, and then go have a few beers with your buddies. Like,
right. And in the meantime, when you're having your beers, check about how many times you dribbled, how many shots you took, and how fast you're running. Like all these
it
different
answers
traits.
a lot of the questions like that one ball hog who like won't pass the ball.
You can actually look at him and be like, buddy, look at your stats. It says that you held the possession for 90% of the time we were playing. Pass the goddamn ball.
Yeah. I think that's cool.
That'll be cool to do. That'll be cool to see.
Exciting.
Check it out if you haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the
we'll-
video,
we'll
the video of
include
the
the-
rooftop is cool.
We'll
The
include
link.
all the links in the description so
Yeah.
you guys take a look at everything we talk about. And yeah, so I think that kind of covers this week's topics.
Yeah.
We're just going to move on to our weekly segment of Weekly Famous Fan.
Weekly famous.
Name is being worked on, but
Yeah,
we're
if
going to
you
come up
have
with
an
something
idea
catchier.
If you have an idea for what that should be called, let us know.
This week's is pretty interesting because it's not just a fan. This man is legitimately ingrained in this club. Sir Elton John was the chairman of Watford Football Club.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know, they're the little hexagonal badge with the moose on it. They're currently in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing all right.
They're doing all right, but he used to be the chairman for their club, and this
They
is
have,
Sir Elton John.
Dini.
They
Rocket
Man.
They named a stand after him. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was the first time, because I was reading an article about him, the first time he had gone back in a long time to watch a Watford game was back in like 14, 15, and that was the year that and he only went back because they named the stand after him.
Oh, wow.
But he was saying like it's hard for him to go to a Watford game now because so many people taking pictures of him and like
Right.
he can't focus on the game, which sucks for him because if
Because now it's a prem.
if he
Now it's
is
a prem
he
team.
is so invested in it, like he obviously wants to go there, but he can't because how could you watch
Imagine
a game
being
and
El-
just have, like
Imagine being Elton John sitting there and everybody's in your. Yeah, exactly.
So that sucks for him. But he was for a long time. He like came out when he joined the board there. He was like, I want to get these guys to first division back when they were in the fourth tier of the English system there. So yeah, he's probably one of the biggest reasons why they have the money, the funding to be able to get
Yeah.
get to where they are today. Yeah, I mean they're doing. I don't know where they are in the stands right now, but I'm sure he's pretty proud of them. I mean, like they've won some pretty big games recently.
No, yeah, and I mean, just to be in the Prem in general, like
Yes. Oh my gosh, for a lower league, for a team that's been in the fourth division, like that's the dream. Just get there. I mean,
just get there. And I just think it's super cool. The guy's famous. Everybody in America knows Elton John. You know what I mean? Like
they're ninth, and
that's
like
actually pretty good.
they're like
What are they,
so they're higher than Leicester City.
what is it, 2-3 years that they've been up now?
Yeah, a couple something like that. But yeah, they're higher than both Leicester and Everton right now.
Watford is cool because they do the whole thing where like the fans own the club. They do
Oh,
kind of
yeah?
like the Barcelona thing.
Oh, nice. I said hexagonal, but it's really not. It's like
like
a weird
it's
square.
It's a pentagon.
pentagon.
Pentagon. That's the word. I don't know my shapes.
Oh, United plays them next. Oh no, the 28th.
I thought we played
28th.
Newcastle.
Yeah,
They play
Newcastle this
Newcastle.
weekend, and then that's the Thanksgiving weekend. Oh, Tuesday they play that. But whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
off topic. Anyway, so yeah, I think that covers it for episode 2.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to talk about.
No, I think we're out of topics. Anyway, yeah, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comment. Let us know how much we suck. Let us know how much you love us. Just comment, say something, do something, interact with us.
If you have questions, email us at contact@trebleware.com, treblwear.com. We respond almost immediately. If you have anything, any of those comments, any concerns,
Any ideas, anything that you think like, oh guys, I really love what you're doing, but do this or try this, please let us know. We want interaction, so.
as long as it doesn't require us changing our appearance, because we can't.
I'll do that.
Well, what's it gonna cost? I just say like show up like wearing dresses one day?
Yeah, I don't know.
mind.
Whatever it might. Yeah, I guess depending on the request.
Yeah, just send out all the requests. We'll filter them out.
Yeah. See you next week. Peace.